Now that that was because I went on my walk. And if you're wondering what the fuck is up with my hair, I tried to put on hairspray and I didn't know how hairspray worked. I probably should have figured that out before I went ahead and put hairspray on. But it's here, and one day maybe I'll learn how to be a woman properly. I'm working on it. I'm just gonna clean up around the house while I talk to you guys about the unconscious functions. Your first unconscious function is your nemesis function. This function is basically all about what you're worried about. That means that if you have an SI nemesis function, that you're worried about your past, you're worried about the negative experiences that you might receive and stuff like that. So I think it's a little easier to develop just because it's on orbit. It's on like a direct pull with your hero function, so it's a little bit better. So it's a little bit easier to develop than, say, your critic function, which is on a pull with your parent function. Speaking of your critic function is what you're critical about. Say a TE critic is critical about what other people think. That's why you have typically the ESTPs and the ENTPs are always calling everybody stupid, and they kind of just do that automatically, which is why ESTPs really don't get along with ENFJs or ESFJs that well, because they're like, you're stupid, and they're hitting TI inferior directly, and TI inferior is like, well, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you anyway, and I'm not going to let you talk at all, so fuck off. And kind of the same thing for TE nemesis. TE nemesis can kind of think that it worries that other people are stupid, so it's not as bad as the critic function, where TE critic gets angry that people are stupid. They get a little bit frustrated. The sixth slot, or the third slot of your unconscious, the trickster function is a really weird function because it's kind of like a Swiss cheese function, in the sense that it kind of works, but not really. I would describe the trickster function. I would describe the trickster function as basically a slippery bar of soap. So you have awareness of all of your functions, but it's a little bit more difficult to wield whatever function is in your trickster slot, because you're so enthusiastic about your child function that because your child function is always the alternate. Like if you have an introverted child, your trickster function is always the extroverted version of that thing. So it's like the child is so enthusiastic and so innocent and pure about their attitude towards that particular function, that the extrovert, or the alternate version of that function, is always going to be like so neglected that it's half blind. The most obvious trickster function is the SE trickster and the TI trickster. And the SE trickster is extroverted sensing. It's like wielding your environment around you, manipulating the environment around you. And like stuff like coordination is really obvious. With INTPs and INFPs, you you can see that they are really uncoordinated. You can see that in the way that they choose to present themselves. You can see that like they typically dress pretty bad to start off with, but INFPs typically fix this because they're so obsessed with status. And SE tricksters drop things a lot and they stumble around a lot, kind of like the SE demon, but they're not as aware that they do it. The the demon function is it's a little more aware that it's bad. Actually, it's way more aware that it's bad. And because it's aware that it's bad, it doesn't want to use that as much. Like, for example, I was walking in the forest today, and I wanted to step across a river, or a little stream, and there was like a few branches like a few tree roots that were big that I could possibly get a footing on, but I just kept looking at the river and being like, oh, my shoes are they don't have a good grip on them, and I don't know if I had the coordination to actually stop myself from falling directly into the stream and maybe risk getting my phone wet. So I'm not gonna do that. And I kind of like feel like a pussy because I did that, but that's something that I have to struggle with as an SE demon, and also shit like not knowing that my hair looks terrible, which I can see right now, but you know, I just have to fix that later, and I can't really fix it right now because it's like got hairspray in it, so there's only so much I can do about that, you know. But anyway, the demon function really prefers not to be used. It is really stressed out whenever it has to be used, and it can provoke somebody into going into super ego, which is something that you really don't want to happen. It's really draining. So that's basically the gist of it. I want to go over the trickster function just a little more. The trickster function is unaware that it's bad. It's delusional. It's a delusional function. It thinks that it's, like, for example, TI demon will not want to think because it knows that it's bad at thinking. And it will do everything in its power to avoid thinking. Let's say you have a TI trickster. That TI trickster is going to say some absolute nonsense. Like, they can't... My friend was saying to me, my ENFP friend, which is one of the TI tricksters, was saying to me, you know, if you have 4 sides of your mind and all those 4 sides of your mind are different types, then you can technically be any type you want. And I mean, that I think that there's a little, like, I can get to see I can start to see what he's saying, like what he's trying to say, but he treated that as if it was like a complete and logical thought. I think that there is something there that we could possibly look into, but he said it as if he was making, and I am cutting out a lot of if this then therefore statements that he said. That was basically the gist of what he was trying to say, and it was very garbled and distorted the way that he was jumping from statement to statement. That's generally what TI trickster presents itself as, and it tries its best. And but anyway, that's my little short video on how each of the functions work. I hope that was decently thorough enough. Oh, by the way, this is a concept by John Beebe and expanded on by C.S. Joseph. If you want more in-depth descriptions of each of the function's attitudes, I would go to his playlist on the cognitive attitudes and the way that they present themselves. I'll probably link it in an annotation if they still have it, and if not, if they don't still have the annotations, I don't know what the fuck YouTube's doing, but if they don't still have annotations, I'll link it in the description down below, if it's still down below by the time you see this video.